Hey everybody! I'm glad you can all join me on my tour of Berlin, Spain, the capital city of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. I may have absolutely no idea how I managed to make my way down to South America, but what I do know is that this is not Brazil. I know because Brazil is in Asia, not South America. But that's beside the point. I found this mediocre countdown, and while I don't care for it overall, I found a few points in it during one of its specific segments, and I think that would be fun to cover while I try and figure out how I'm gonna get home. So with that being said, as I say here in Berlin, let's get this brolt. Wait, no, I think that's French. Shit. Too bad I'm not in Paris, then I think that would make sense. So the video I'm covering is a countdown by a YouTuber named User1Campbell. It's called Top 5 Least Favorite Video Games. In this video, his number 2 segment is about E.T., the infamous movie tie-in video game that is often considered the worst of all time. That's all that needs to be said, so let's begin.
We all know how the crash started, right? It started because of this. Games mostly take around 6 months to a full year to complete a game, but Atari told one dev to make it from scratch and finish it in 6 weeks to make the Christmas deadline. And you can see how this was rushed. Enemies suck, graphics are awful, music is non-existent because there are no music!
First off, the audio balancing here is shit and sounds like your music audio and your vocal audio are having a fist fight. Money's on music, FYI. But point is, can you lower your music audio just a bit so I can hear you a bit better? Danke. On the other hand, the graphics suck. I mean, yeah, that's true, but I'm pretty sure that's a result of it being on the Atari 2600 because that's like how every Atari game looked around that time. And that the music is non-existent? I mean, video game music wasn't even common around that time, and very few Atari 2600 games had them. I'm not trying to say you can't hate those factors, but I'm saying this because you say, and you can see this was rushed, which makes me wonder if you're trying to say these factors are the result of rushed development when I don't really think they are in all honesty.
It was because of this that Atari lost everything in 1983. The Atari 5200 suffered in sales and immediately cancelled, shutting down in 1984, making their last console in 1993, the Atari Jaguar. Hasbro Interactive buying the company in 1998, and ended up going bankrupt in 2013. So in short, E.T. killed Atari!
No, User1Campbell, E.T. did not kill Atari. Now in truth, E.T. was one of many factors that led to Atari as a company going under, but it was nowhere near as decisive in leading to Atari's death and by extension the video game crash of 1983 as you make it out to be. I'd say E.T. is a part of a larger problem that came with Atari and other console companies of that time, and the lack of quality control which led to a shit ton of shit games flooding the market and in turn the loss of consumer confidence in the company and video gaming as a whole. E.T. was one of many games that helped, no thanks to it being a tie-in to the recently released movie, and while I think that does make it one of the important games in regards to that subject of shit games flooding the market, this statement doesn't account for the many other factors that led to Atari's downfall and the subsequent 83 video game crash. Factors such as the oversaturated video game market with too many fucking consoles and the competition from home computers played a big role in the crash as well. Atari was never able to really regain its dominance on the video game market because by the time they came back to making consoles, their budget had been significantly diminished and the market had changed with the NES leading the American market, no thanks to their library which captivated American audiences in the 80s in ways different from Atari. Not to mention Nintendo of America's strict third-party policy that forced third-party developers to release their games exclusively for Nintendo and only Nintendo for at least 5 years, thus keeping developers away from Atari consoles released around the time and on the more successful NES. Essentially my point is that E.T., while a considerable factor that played into Atari's downfall, was only a small factor of many in truth.
I can't blame Howard Scott Warshaw, but rushing the man so you guys can spend Christmas with your family was totally unneeded.
Actually, I believe E.T. was rushed for profit, because being a tie-in game to what was the biggest box office hit at the time, Atari felt it would be a sought-after game for the 1982 holiday season. It didn't really have anything to do with people wanting to be home with their families. I mean, I'm pretty sure people working there would have been doing that anyway, since that's how a lot of companies who aren't like specific types of public workers do things. I don't really know, but it doesn't really matter because ultimately the point is that this statement isn't really true.
If Atari delayed the game and put a lot more effort into this, then I would have had no doubt that Atari would have been alive and still made games today.
Sorry home computers and the loss of consumer confidence, you guys aren't really significant enough to have killed Atari without E.T. You guys can just go home or something. Maybe on the way you can check out the Berlin Space Needle. You can see Alaska from up there. Anyways, I think that's all, since the rest of the video seemed complaining about rugby, and I don't really have anything to say for final thoughts, again, because, not because I'm lazy or anything, just because. So I guess I'll just try and figure out where to go home. Though I guess I could sightsee a bit. It's not every day a dumb American like me gets to go to an extravagant South American city like Berlin, Spain of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic.
Dude, this is Detroit.
Oh, now everything's starting to make sense. And then I got arrested by the Stasi. The end.